Yeah, g'day. It's been a few days. I'll get straight into it. I was bricked in the head by teenagers that came out of a New South Wales government employee's house. Pretty sure he's an ex-copper. Two houses down. He's a highway patrol. 2 houses up the other way. He's a ex-prosecutor. 4 houses down. It's a forensic scientist. And well, she got the qualification. She told me they got a habit of not saying what they are, but saying what they do. And there was a noise going on one night, and went out the front, and there was the idiots again coming out of that house. He's just getting them pissed, teenagers, and they get drunk before they go in. And there was WRX and Blue Commodore. They eventually went in. I was standing there eating an apple. Missing a couple of teeth. I got a busted tooth, so I got to cut the apple up into pieces so I don't wedge a massive piece of apple in the tooth, and it really hurts. So effectively, yeah, maybe later on the next one. Cheers, mate. And so I ate the apple and then put the paring knife in my pocket. They go inside after about another 10 minutes. I'm just standing there watching them, not staunching them, not fucking just standing in the shadows. And then when they packed up, they picked up their bottles as well, which was really good, mainly because I was there. But they went inside, and just as they went inside, these other 2 kids come up from the right, and he started having a go, and he came at me 3 or 4 times. So you move forward. They're about 80 kilos, about my weight, highs in sight, and one of them was trying to hold the other one off. And he said, "What's your fucking problem? What's your fucking problem?" And that went on, and the other guy's going, "Just go inside, just go inside." I said, "Mate, I'm fucking looking the other way at the street," because I was looking at their mates. He came at me 4 times. Every time he came at me, I sort of moved towards him, and didn't G him up. I just moved towards him, like, fucking have a go, then don't talk about it. And they got about 10 metres up the street, and then he broke loose and come running towards me, so I thought I was on. So I just went towards him. He stopped again. His mate grabbed him, and he just fucking, it's just a distraction. And then another kid comes out of the house, out of those kids that were drinking. I'm pretty sure it's a cop's house. Comes out of the house and runs in between, puts his arms up like this, right? And one hand there, one hand towards me. And he realised I'm telling him, "Get your mate, fuck him off." He's acting like a cunt. And his right hand sort of came down before the left hand came down. And another guy comes running out of the house, and he runs behind him and bricks me in the head with a Jim Beam can. Fractured my jaw, knocked the tooth loose. I'm missing a few teeth on one side. And effectively, I'll like to talk about dentists later on about what they've been doing. Anyone who's fucking stand up to the system, the dentists fuck up your teeth. And then what happens is I spun around. As soon as I got hit, I sort of spun out of it, and I got hit 3 times. It was like getting hit by a 5-year-old. And I just felt that shock to the jaw. And I just put a bit of distance, 2 or 3 metres between me and the point where I was hit, and because I didn't see it coming. I seen him, but I didn't see wasn't expecting it. And they're only fucking 19 years of age. And anyway, so I spun around, pulled the paring knife out, and I said, "It was more than one, he was going to hospital." And he was still behind me, and I was concussed, and hit me on top of the head. Everyone's seen the scar, said that you didn't fall back and hit your head, you were hit on top of the head, Jim Beam can. And it's the shape of a section of orange, so you cut it orange in the quarters. So I got a fractured skull, fractured jaw. I had to go and get my inside of my mouth lanced because I had a busted tooth, and it cut into the jaw. And police turn up, that was later, police turn up, and Detective Constable was there, and she said there was no bruises on their hands. Right, there's a blood stain on the fucking, they showed me where the blood stain was. And so I don't know if I got hit and I was out, and I just sort of like this and then fell down. It was in a bit of an odd spot, but blood stains on the ground. I'm knocked out, and this Jim Beam can that is dented like buggery. Like, you can't dent a Jim Beam hand without perforating on the concrete. So they hit it on something hard and soft. And Jim Beam cans are really good for fingerprints. Then while I'm knocked out, they go into the house and in the garage, and they steal my brother's sockets out of his sockets. They took about probably about half to a third of the sockets out. It's 4 sockets. and they took my father's torque wrench. All these things had fingerprints on them. Did Tracy Ford, Tracy Stone get forensics in? They went to bat for the kids, said, oh, you pull a knife on them. And I was standing there watching some kids pack their shit up and walk into a fucking house, and some other kids started, and then another kid comes out and bricks me in the fucking head. Now, I was concussed when I was talking to him, but I was still, I knew what was going on. I was just talking really slow. And a little terror up the street going off. And what happened was, so Tracy Ford fucks off. You can see the Jim Beam can, you see the blood there. Now, I didn't see that until she left, right? Because I remember I was sitting there talking to police and fucking, I'm like concussed. And then the Detective Constable comes up and says, please don't put me on your YouTube channel. Now, I rang her 3 times trying to speak to her, and I had no joy. And the time I've been locked up, my Hotmail has been, both my Hotmail accounts have been accessed twice through my Samsung, which they've taken. And I can't change my password from my Hotmail address. I tried last night for 4 hours. I got changed one, but not the main one that I want, to stop it from happening again. So they're blocking it. Now, once this all happened, I put a YouTube clip up saying, if I get bricked in the head again and left for dead, and the police cover it up, I'm going to gut the bitch. Words to that effect. And apparently that's threatening. No, that's a warning saying, don't have your minions come up and fucking try and attack me, because they're going to come off second best, because I won't let them get within arm's reach. It won't be look one way and get hit the other way. It'll be fucking, someone's going to get hurt. And I said, I've got a 40 centimetre knife, and if anyone tries to come into the house at night or break a window or anything, I'm going to carve a piece off them. And apparently about a week and a half later, the police turn up at the house, 2 detectives. They didn't identify themselves. My mum wakes me up and says, there's 2 men at the front door, they want to speak to you. I said, who are they? And she said, I don't know. And it was weird, because if they turned up and they had guns, you'd know. But she's 85, so I can't comment either way as to why she didn't know who they were. And so I walk out the front, and because there was 2 men 9 o'clock in the morning and they weren't invited and she didn't know who they were, I didn't know what was going on. So I grabbed the knife, put it in my pocket, and walked out the front. And they were up at the top of the driveway, and I walked up and sort of coming on the property. I said, you're just trespassing, get off property. So they got off property. And they were just asking stupid questions, and I told them straight away, I've got a knife in my pocket, and I took the knife out, left the right hand. I didn't have a phone on me. I was still half asleep, and I said, I've got the knife in my pocket. I don't know who you are. Fucking, a lot of weird shit's been going on, and they covered up my attempted murder and a home invasion. Most of those 2 things would get you in jail for 8 to 10 years. You do some time anyway. And so this is Penrith Police and the Chief Inspector from Penrith Police Station. Now, they need to discredit you. They need to say you're crazy. Well, they stuck me in a mental home for fucking 23 days, and they said I'm not crazy. When I was arrested, I was taken to Penrith Police Station. They tried to fingerprint me. I said, you're not fingerprint me. They wrist locked the shit out of me. Trying to see, when you put a wrist lock on someone and you get them to comply, or it's a control. You don't hold it there for 3 minutes. And they collapsed my carpal tunnel, and I've got pins and needles in my left hand. I told him I had a plate in there, and he bent down even harder. I told him I had a pin in there, you're going to break my fucking hand, and he kept bending. So I thought, fuck it. I lowered my knees, and I thought, if you're going to fucking bend my wrist, you're going to work for it. So effectively what happened was they held me, he was holding my body weight, so was the other guy with 2 wrist locks. And I'm going, this is fucking torture, this is torture. I wasn't screaming like a bitch, I was loud. And to let them know they fucking hurt me. And it wasn't reasonable. And they dropped me on my knees a few times, like on my kneecaps. And then there was 2 other constables standing behind me, and they were standing on my flats of my feet, so my balls of my feet are facing up, and then they started stomping my feet. They broke the skin on top of my feet, which was on the ground. And then I got 2 ribs, one in the flat ribs, one each in the flat ribs. Now, I was half asleep, getting dragged in there, and I think they cracked my flat. Either they damaged my floating ribs or they cracked a rib. But my right ribs were no good for a month. And at the end of it, they they were gassing after about a minute. As soon as I dropped my knees, they were gassing. And then they dragged me back into the cell, and effectively I turned around and said, I told you we weren't getting fucking fingerprints and photograph, cunt. And yeah, it was just bizarre. It was just bizarre. These people are supposed to be protecting us, and they're protecting their relatives from what they call indictable crimes. In means no, dit is the mind, and hereditaments. All these words. These are all the fragments of the words. So you've got this situation where we have a debt-based system based on fraud, where they've gotten rid of the word Commonwealth off your money, and now it just says Australia, which is the actual privately owned company. So you're using private script, and it's called a dollar for a reason, because it means dolus, it means harm. And they're claiming the jurisdiction based on that, and the jurisdiction of the signature of all their paperwork. But what they didn't tell you was they were poisoning your water with hexafluorosilicic acid, hexafluorosilicic acetate, and sodium fluoride. And it's all fluorine based, which is a neurotoxin. Calcifies your pineal gland. And if you go to the Vatican, you'll see there's the pine cone court, and it's surrounded by the libraries. If you don't have a pineal gland that functions, you can't process metaphysics. You can't see the langue and the language. Yeah, it's basically contract by deception, contract by drugging, and it's basically anyone who fucking says you're selfish for protecting your rights is exhibiting Stockholm syndrome. And yeah, so when my brother left Japan, he left to get out of Australia because he was getting fucking harassed by the cops because he knocked one out. The cop punched him 4 times. Tried to punch him 4 times, punched him 3 times, and he said he punched him a 4th time, he's going to knock him out, and he put him on his ass. I've never fucking hit a copper. Not that they haven't deserved it. Partly they're doing their job, and partly they're retards, so you don't kick a retard. And last time I hit someone a long time ago, they didn't get up for a long fucking time. So I made a pact with myself, I'm not going to fucking hurt someone for trying to do their job, even if they've been a cunt. And I can hit. Anyway, so I'm getting back into the fitness now. Got a bit of meat in the bone. 2 months in a fucking meditation retreat at Parkley, and doing push-ups and sit-ups and heaves. But the food is that bad and the water's that bad, and there's a 5G tower there. There's guys that were fucking doing a lot of exercise. They should have been a lot bigger, and it's all the soy. The soy ferments your testosterone, turns it into estrogen. That and all the fucking, I won't talk about Parkley, because I don't want to make any enemies. No point in digging holes. So, so they stuck me in Parkley for 14 days, plus the 2 days in remand. No access to water, didn't drink water for fucking 8 days. I was just surviving off the moisture in the pears, and then I was eating the bread, had to eat a lot of bread. And I just lost so much fucking weight in 15 days, and didn't sign their COVID papers, didn't swab, didn't sign their signature. When I went into prison, they said, you got to sign the paperwork. I said, no, I don't. And then they said, yeah, you do. I said, well, it's slavery. I mean, you can't, you're in prison. I said, well, show me where it says I have to sign your paperwork. So I didn't sign the paperwork. Then they stuck me in isolation for 15 days because I wouldn't swab. And I was ringing up saying I need to speak to my legal counsel. And they said, keep ringing the buzzer, then we're going to charge it. And I said, how are you going to charge me? And then they said, because you signed the paperwork. And I said, go and read your own fucking paperwork, idiot. I didn't sign shit. So he just shut the fuck up. I wasn't there trying to pick fights. It's prison, you got to fucking stay alive. And I've seen some people that almost didn't twice. So they went down. One of them was fucking. He was just off chop. He was all over the place, and someone sorted him out. And he hit the ground pretty hard. Another guy walked in, fucking wasn't paying attention, and mouthing off, started a fight, and the other guy just fucking laid him out. The punch was almost as good as the sound hitting the ground. It was that fucking. It was brutal. So yeah, when I left Parkley, guys line up. They sort of say goodbye or whatever, and a couple of blokes give me a good fucking come up and said hello. Some of the big fellas, and I said to one bloke when I was in there, I told him what I was doing and why, and he said, yeah, everyone in the prison knows what you're doing. So that was good to hear. So this is part one. This is the cover-up. I was left for dead in the gutter. They came out of a community corrections or corrective services house. He's copper. He's definitely Penrith Court fucking material. And every second house is copper, and the rest are the food authority and all the rest of them. They just congregate in one area. So that's part one. That's the bricked in the head, the cover up, me saying if it happens again, and so basically it's like getting hit in the head with a bolt. Not many people get bricked in the head with Jim Beam can, so or something that left for dead in the gutter. So act of God, for lack of a better word, cover up, you're fucked. Right, that's a warning. Stay the fuck away. The knife, it's a warning. The police came onto the property and trespassed to say that I've got using a weapon. Then they beat the shit out of me they didn't beat the shit out of me. They touched me up in the fucking in Penrith Police Station, and basically that's resisting arrest. Well, that wasn't reasonable. Picking me up with a wrist lock. People say, well, you lowered your weight. Well, yeah, because it was painful. They actually the pins and needles in my hand. So they've permanently damaged the sensation of my hand. And, that's reasonable? No, it's not fucking reasonable. So that was it. That's part one. I'll stop it and start another one.